Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I'm Daniel.
I'm Chris.
And we are your hosts of the Jedi Enclave Presidency. Now, this is Podcasting Podcast, your weekly look into the things happening in the Star Wars universe, and also other things that we like the MCU and a little bit of the DC universe, which... So
it's seriously just Batman.
Yeah, but they're redoing the whole thing now, and I don't know. We'll judge this new reiteration of the DC universe when it starts to come out, and like if Superman comes out, I'm like, it fucking sucks. We probably won't.
I mean, based on past history, I don't have high hopes here, but
that's the thing is like, I liked the Henry Cavill Superman movies, and I don't love Superman. Like we've talked about this before. He's kind of a boring hero. Yeah. Right. It's like, I get it. You can't fucking die unless you get hit with a kryptonite dildo or something.
Green rock.
Yeah. But Henry Cavill made a good Superman, and despite the mediocre score by Hans Zimmer, I was really into it. But the only thing I care about in I don't know why the fuck I'm talking about this, but anyway, the only thing I care about in the DC universe, and I say this unapologetically, I won't apologize. I was channeling the right wing there a little bit. The only thing I care about is Batman. So when a Batman thing comes out and I say, like it's got to be pretty bad.
Yeah.
And that was my exact response to Batman vs. Superman and then the Justice League. I was just like, whatever.
Thanks a lot, Zack Snyder.
It's like, I think I kind of miss George Clooney's Batman. Not really. That was a lie. I mean, the Christian Bale Batmans were really cool, you know.
Rob Bat? Yeah, pretty fucking good.
There are rumors
they're making another one.
Yes, and it's delayed a whole year. We talked about this last week, but there are rumors that he might just be the Batman of the new James Gunn slate.
I'm down with that.
Which I'm like,
he was really fucking good.
He's really good. Yeah. Anyway, we don't always talk about Batman right at the top of the show. That actually rarely ever happens. Usually we talk about Star Wars and Star Wars adjacent things, and then after that, depending on how much time we have and how relevant it is, other stuff. Today, there's a ton of Star Wars stuff.
Might squeak in like 2 seconds of Invincible.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, I watched that a couple days ago. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. The reason is because this week, Star Wars Acolyte, the highly anticipated show, had a trailer that dropped yesterday.
Its first public trailer. And you didn't have to squeeze into a tiny dark room at D23 to see.
It's
pretty fucking good.
It's so fucking good.
Yeah.
There was a new Bad Batch episode, episode 8, I think. Yep. And I don't know why Dune Part 2 is on my notes. I haven't changed
forgot to take it out. Yeah.
We didn't see Dune Part 2. Like that was like 3 weeks ago, right?
Something like that.
We will probably talk about Invincible if we have time. The other Star Wars news things. If you're watching the podcast, which comes out, I think every Saturday.
If you're watching the podcast as a podcast, there are time codes in the description. So you can skip around to whatever it is you really want to see.
So if you want to avoid the shit you don't care about, do that. And thank you to Connor at the Star Wars Hub and Star Wars Veritas. He's a cool guy. You should go check that shit out. And while you're here, like and subscribe, share the stream and the podcast, and join us on Discord, where I answer all of my messages on like Fridays. Because I sign into that app, because I don't get notifications from Discord. So like I'll be like, I wonder what's happening in Discord. Like, oh, people, okay.
I have like 17 messages.
Yeah, I better go respond to this. After this, we are doing Battlefront 2 tonight. Oh, and because we want to talk more about Acolyte and all that other shit. So, and then we didn't get to have Gungans and Dragons last weekend because.
I think Monty got called into work.
It doesn't matter why.
Emergency.
Right. But as far as I know, we're doing it on Sunday at 7, which is our weekly Star Wars tabletop RPG. And we go on adventures and get up to hijinks and have a lot of fun. So you should check that out. We are also just as a random thing. We're like entering the third and final act of our story.
We're hitting Daniel's Sith Lord arc.
Yeah. After which we'll probably take an interval as a break. And then we're going to start another campaign of something. It might not be strictly Star Wars, but I think it's at least sci-fi themed, I hope, with a new DM a new GM. Which, by the way, we're calling it Gungans and Dragons regardless of the setting. Like it's always going to be called that. And our DM will always be called a Gungan Master. So we don't have a ton of spots for new characters, but if you're really into that kind of thing, and you're interested, let us know. If we have a spot, you're more than welcome to join us, as long as you don't personally annoy me.
Just be a decent human being. That's all.
It's an easy bar to yeah. So we got to get started.
There's
tons of shit.
Acolyte trailer.
We're not talking about that.
Oh, we're not. Okay.
No. That's first on the thing. I want to get through a couple things first. So there's some financial stuff about Star Wars we got to talk about, and George Lucas specifically, which is the big news with George Lucas is that all of the neckbeard fanboys that are like groveling at the feet of Mike Zero and Star Wars Theory have come full circle back to George Lucas as the enemy. and if you're wondering,
I love the cognitive dissonance here.
And if you're wondering how the fuck did that happen, strap in. So here's the first thing. And the people who claim this, I'll never change their mind. I'm not trying to, because it's just
because fuck them. That's why.
Yeah, people are too far cognitively gone. And I feel weird about defending a multi-billion-dollar corporation because I hate them, right? But when someone says something factually untrue, I hate that too. So like now, here I am trying to defend Disney when it's a corporation, and just by virtue, I fucking hate it, right?
Disney doesn't need your defense.
Yes.
They have lawyers for that.
If you're one of the idiots online who are like, oh, Disney went get woke, go broke, and they're hemorrhaging money, it's false.
It's factually untrue.
It's demonstrably false. In fact, Star Wars specifically is doing extremely well financially, having posted close to $13 billion of revenue from Star Wars alone, which you consider that they paid $4 billion for the franchise.
And then spent probably another $1.5 billion or so developing all the shows and movies.
Now, this is only... The revenue report only pertains to theatrical releases. This excludes revenue from shows, video games, the Disney World and Disneyland, and all that other, and the toys and shit.
Shows is really nebulous because Disney has been losing money on Disney Plus since they started it.
But they can kind of afford to because of all this other shit, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't equal. It's not like, oh well, they took so many losses there that they haven't made anything. Not even close. No. It's just $12 billion on just the films. Holy God. Yeah. Like, that's fucking insane.
There's another dimension to this whole issue, which you might be about to get to. It's that Disney itself is currently in the midst of a little bit of a... I won't call it a civil war, but Bob
like Iger, a hostile takeover. Yeah. I was going to get to that. So cool your jets.
Okay.
They didn't talk at all about Avengers or any of the other big things. But like that's pretty much it. Like Star Wars
making money.
Yes. Now,
shut the fuck up.
Like on one hand, all the go woke, go broke guys are demonstrably, empirically incorrect.
Yes.
Well, they change what they're saying now. Because they'll be like, oh, they're lying, despite the fact that it would be illegal for them to do so. Like they have a responsibility to their shareholders. It's a public company. They have a responsibility to their shareholders to post correct information so that shareholders can make decisions based on that. If you lie to shareholders, you go to prison.
The SEC would be up their ass.
Yes. So if you're like, oh, they're just lying, they're just making it up. No. And I know you want it to be true. I know it does not support the narrative that you're fucking balls deep in, but fuck off. There we are. On the other hand, they made $12 billion and that's fucking gross. That one, like just the idea, no one should be making that much money. That's an obscene amount of money. And Disney at its core is a corporation and is evil. Just not for the reasons that you think. For entirely other real world reasons. Okay, now, there is an ongoing proxy fight happening for the soul of Disney. Now,
but by soul, he means control of the board of directors.
Yes, which is apparently Nelson, Peltz, and Trian Partners have been trying to gain board seats.
Some venture capitalist assholes. No. You don't need to root for them. There are no good guys in this fight.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to pick a side. Yeah. There's no good guys. You can just sort of sit here and laugh at both of them.
In fact, they're all terrible, right? So I've seen people like, oh yeah, well these anti-woke guys are trying to take control of Disney so they can turn everything.
Who the fuck do you think Bob Iger is?
Yeah.
He's a fucking billionaire middle-aged white dude.
Yeah. it's like that's not why. They're doing it because Disney is making more money than they've ever made. Mm-hmm. It has value and they want to own it, right? They want to make decisions for it.
They're also sensing a moment of weakness because while Disney is posting incredible profits, its growth has actually slowed a tiny bit recently. Yeah. And, if you're a multi-billion-dollar corporation, people think you have a responsibility to not only increase your profit every quarter, but also increase your rate of growth every single quarter.
For infinity.
Yes.
Yeah, which is just the concept alone is insane. And that's one of the core problems of the society that
Capitalism
we live in.
is so fucked up. Now, you have no idea.
Iger is trying to rally the troops.
Yes.
Right? Because
he wants to continue being chairman of the board of Disney.
Right. He likes being in that position of power. Yeah. So they got George Lucas to weigh in and defend Iger.
I read this statement that's supposed George Lucas did not write this thing.
No. He doesn't.
Either he had a lawyer write it up for him, or Disney gave it to him, and he just fucking looked into the camera and read off the sheet of paper.
He probably had Lawrence Kasdan write it.
Could be. Yeah. I mean, if the Lawrence Kasdan of lawyers wrote it.
Basically, it's what it says is, hey, Bob Iger's doing a good job. And since I am one of the biggest shareholders in Disney now,
he got $1.8 billion
in stock options.
Yeah. When they sold.
So he's one of the biggest Disney shareholders.
He has a lot of Disney shares.
Yeah.
Which means he has a lot of votes.
Yeah. And he also has an immense influence over other shareholders as well, just because of who he is and everything. So with this, I imagine it will go the way that Iger wants it to go.
Probably.
So the reason all the neckbeards are pissed off is because they have it in their mind that these guys are trying to take it over to reverse the woke or whatever, which is not what's happening.
No, not at all.
People at this level of business don't make decisions based on that, unless you're Elon Musk, and that's why when you go and buy a company and try to make it unwoke, you immediately
destroy everything,
destroy its value, right? Because that's not how decisions are made. You do what is popular. You sell to the largest group of people that you can. It doesn't matter what the largest group of people want. That's what you go for, right? And they, so they don't care about all that shit. The only thing they care about is how do we extract the most amount of money from every single person, right? And so they think that they have a better way to do it. So they're trying to. Also, Disney is worth a whole bunch. So, like you said. There are no bad guys, but
there are no good guys.
Yeah, no good guys.
They're all bad guys,
right? And
every single one.
The anti-woke thing, these guys aren't thinking about it. That's just, it's not weighing in on their decisions. But certain people who are really into the Mike Zero, Doomcock, Star Wars theory thing really think that they're white knights coming in to save everyone from woke, and George Lucas speaking out against that has become a problem for them. So now
because for years they were saying George Lucas is going to come back any day now and save Star Wars. Yep.
And now he is the guy that ruined everyone's childhoods, and he's a woke liberal, blah blah blah, which we knew for fucking ever, by the way, because
he's a fucking hippie.
He's been saying all this, he's been saying some of the most liberal bullshit since the 70s, since people knew about him, right?
Since before it was cool.
Yeah. So we knew that he was a lefty hippie, Yeah. So that's fine. It's really funny. It's like the snake eating its own ass.
Yeah.
And it's funny is that you go back a year into the Mike Zero catalog of trash, and you'll find videos about there's a confirmed source that that Lucas is going to buy Star Wars back, or Disney's going to employ him to take over Star Wars, and they're going to kill Kathleen Kennedy and all this other shit. And now, since they can't get their cognitive dissonance can't get around the message because it came from him, it very clearly came from him. So now they're like, what does Master Mike Zero say? Well, we'll just go with that.
I wonder if things are ever going to get to the point where Kathleen Kennedy is just one bad tweet away from all those awful people saying Kathleen Kennedy's the new savior.
Yeah, right.
She's just one hot mic away.
Yeah,
one questionable comment about black people away from becoming
the hero of the right. Yeah, I know. It's funny how, and this isn't necessarily a right wing thing, by the way. Both political sides tend to latch on to figures that they kind of deify as they're gonna they're gonna do this. So like a good example for Star Wars is like all the morons who are like, oh, Dave Filoni is gonna save Star Wars, right? There's always the one, and it's usually a male.
Yes.
It's always the guy that's gonna save everything, right? And there's always the enemy, like the face of all the frustration and the demon of the situation, which is almost always a female. And in this case is Kathleen Kennedy. In politics, it was Nancy Pelosi for the longest time, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So it's like because that's how small the brains are. It's how that works. There's the hero, there's the villain, and there's this big fight, and that's what all of Mike Zero's videos are about. About how here's the hero, here's the villain, they're fighting, and my sources say, right? It's all bullshit and it's bad for you.
We've talked about this bullshit for way too long.
Yeah,
Let's move on.
It gets me going though. I fucking hate it. I'm gonna check in real quick.
Can you tell that Daniel doesn't really talk to anyone except when I'm here?
I don't. Well, I talk to my students, but yeah, I don't like to talk at all, really.
Yeah.
Jamie says greetings and salutations.
Hello there.
Our Nick Beard's basement trolls. No, we're basement trolls.
Yeah. That we are in a basement and we are trolls.
Yeah, we're not trolls. I don't think we are.
We're like good aligned trolls.
Yeah.
Like we poke fun at the people who deserve it.
We're chaotic good trolls.
Yes.
Yeah. Casey says, yep.
Yep,
indeed. And then, oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Darth Dirty Socks. If you believe Mike Zero, your intelligence, that's the wrong you are, by the way. Sorry. That was a Stannis Baratheon moment. So I told you that my partner John has been rewatching Game of Thrones,
yes.
I wasn't making fun of you. I'm so sorry.
But it's gonna be like 5 minutes before we read your comments, so just strap in.
There's a character Stannis Baratheon, who's one of the many people who are trying to get the
punchline is fewer, right?
Yeah. So every time someone's like, oh, they use the word less in the wrong context, he'll sit there. He doesn't say it to anyone really. He'll just sit there and grumble and be like, fewer. I feel like that sometimes. Anyway, Darth 30 Socks. If you believe Mike Zero, your intelligence is too low, wrong to be helped at this point. But you're right. The sentiment of what you're saying is correct. Also, I don't mean to be a grammar Nazi.
It's just how he is.
Here I am. I can't help it.
Anyway,
what else do we have? Should we talk about the Acolyte trailer?
I think we should,
because it was a big deal.
Because it whipped ass.
Yeah, it really. And before I get into this, I will say that over the last few weeks, whenever Acolyte comes up, you have been like, we'll see, right? Which is generally what I come to expect from you.
It's just how I am about a lot of things,
and I understand that, and I have no problem with that. This isn't me calling you on anything.
Yeah.
I will point out to everyone watching, anyone who cares, that trailer hit yesterday, and you were the first person in our Discord that was like, "Oh God!" Look, it was so good.
I think my exact message is that's a good fucking trailer.
Yeah, which for you, that's a lot of hyperbole, right? So yesterday, the Star Wars Acolyte released this trailer. It's worth pointing out that some of this footage was shown at D23 last year, and there was some grainy cell phone footage. Yeah. Someone who I think Disney executed after they figured out who took it.
Almost certainly, yes.
But some of the footage wasn't in it at all.
Yep.
Or it's like different footage and everything. And just being able to see it. There are Star Wars moments in my life where I just remember very clearly. One of them is being in the 8th grade and dressing up as Jedi with my friends, one of which was Joe, who you know, and going to see Star Wars Episode 2. And this was before the internet. Well, it wasn't before the internet.
The internet was very, very different.
Yeah. And we weren't looking for spoilers, and there was no social media. So we went into it entirely blind, only knowing what Lucasfilm wanted us to know about the film. And there are several moments in that movie where we were just freaking out. And one of them, and I'll never forget opening night, was the arena scene where Mace Windu shows up, and it's just one guy at first, and you're like, oh, that might be enough. It's Mace Windu.
Yeah.
He's kind of a badass.
Yeah.
And then he says the right thing, and then all the lightsabers turn on. I'm like, there are that many Jedi?
Yeah.
Which I knew because it's like the heyday of the Jedi.
Intellectually, yeah.
But up until then, in Star Wars, you see two guys and they're always fighting each other.
You never saw them.
Right. And looking back, it's a little cheesy, but that's fine.
Yeah.
As a kid, I was like, there are so many Jedi.
It's entertainment for children. And it hit exactly what it was supposed to.
And I was like, that's so fucking epic. And I'll be damned if watching this trailer, I was like, there are so many Jedi. This is so fucking cool. And I will say before we get into this, this is a Star Wars kind of returning to its roots kind of a thing. That isn't to say like there's new Star Wars that I love. There's new Star Wars that I don't love, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is undeniable, regardless of what side that you're on, that Lucasfilm had a concerted effort to tone down the Force using lightsaber wielding stuff, except for like the main movies, right? So like they're like, you're gonna get Book of Boba Fett, who is a character that doesn't have the Force, and blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. And of course, they shove Luke in there because he broke the internet with Mando season 2.
Yeah.
And then you have like The Mandalorian, which at
Rogue is there, but the rest of it is kind of
Solo, a Star Wars story. Mm-hmm. Rogue One, other than the Vader thing, which wasn't supposed to even be in the movie at first.
Oops.
Yeah, like they wanted to tell all these other stories from other people that weren't Jedi, mm-hmm. right? And I'm not sure if that's because they wanted it to be more special when one actually showed up. And it's fun. It's like, I don't know why.
I suspect that is, but go on.
It doesn't matter because the Jedi, the lightsaber wielding Force thing is why I show the fuck up to Star Wars, right? Mm-hmm. And I love your Han Solos. I love your Cassian Andors. Like, and those are good stories and whatever. But it's like, after a while, I'm like, where the fuck?
Where's my fucking lightsaber, George Lucas?
Yeah. So this, like, this show in particular, it's like finally they're like, okay, we're not telling these stories about non-Force using lightsaber wielding guys. Like, this is going to be all fucking Jedi, and I'm here for it on so many different levels. Mm-hmm. And then I started reading about, so the trailer came out, and then Disney started releasing some information. We have a tighter idea when the timeline is. Mm-hmm. Which turns out we weren't exactly correct with the rumors a few weeks ago. A few weeks ago, the rumors were that it was 50 years before Phantom Menace. It's actually 100 years.
Okay.
Right? Which doesn't change things a whole bunch.
So no Palpatine, possibly no Plagueis.
Plagueis, I think I did the math on this last night, and I looked into some Wikipedia things, and Plagueis would be 15.
Okay. So not out of the question, but he would be like an apprentice, if anything.
It could be a Tenebrous Plagueis thing, if they're going with legends. Mm-hmm. Tenebrous being the Bith Sith.
All right, cool. I'm here for it.
So instead of playing the space saxophone, he decided to instead be a Sith Lord, right?
Yeah.
But we're not even sure if he's going to show up or anything, right? So 100 years before Phantom Menace, in the High Republic era, and then I started reading about what the show's about, and you get a sense of what the show's about through the dialogue of the trailer.
Someone's killing Jedi,
which they said that, and I was like, "Tell me more, please," because like
that is a good fucking plot hook
on its own. Yeah. I'm just my body is ready to take
I'm here.
It. Yes.
And like they intersperse that with all these shots of that fight in the fucking bar or whatever.
Oh, Carrie-Anne Moss as a Jedi. Oh my God, dude.
But also Amanda Stenberg fucking flipping around and like trying to stab her with the fucking
she got her little knife, yeah. And I've got some general like the main scenes, right? Mm-hmm. That we'll talk a little bit about. So there's some shit in the Jedi Temple.
Yes.
Which, as a fan of Star Wars, I'm always like, oh God, I love that building so much. And look, I know that there are Star Wars fans out there that are really into the Sith. And I'm not one of the people who will deny that the Jedi did some really shitty things. And
which you can tell because there's a whole bunch of little fucking kindergartners in that scene, right? And they're being instructed in how to meditate.
Yeah. That being said, I have always been and will always be Team Jedi. It's how I was as a kid. When my brother and I played Star Wars, I was always Luke Skywalker. That's just always who I was. He loved being Han Solo. So getting shots of the Jedi Temple anywhere in Star Wars, I'm just like, that's fucking great. So the guy from fucking Squid Games, the star of that show, Lee Jung-jae, is playing a Jedi Master called Soul, like our son, Soul.
Yeah.
And he's teaching a bunch of kids how to meditate. And the one thing people have been pointing out that I think is really funny is he tells them to close their eyes, and there's the one kid that doesn't have eyelids, which I thought was pretty funny.
Okay.
But then he does the Luke thing from Last Jedi, right? He's giving them the same lesson that Luke gave Rey on Octo, where he's like, close your fucking eyes, reach out and tell me what you see. And they're like, balance, life, blah, 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 blah. And this one kid's like, I see fire. And then he's like, the fuck?
You got to keep a close eye on that.
Yeah, he writes her name down.
she may be the delinquent of the class.
Folds it up, slips it to Yoda. Like, keep an eye on this fucking kid. So they're all like meditating and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Do all these kids die?
Maybe.
I hope not. I don't think they would do that. So the thing you were talking about, Amanda Stenberg's character, May, there are a couple of shots of her walking through with her fucking hood up and everything. Through some very classic Star Wars architecture. Yeah. There's like every Star Wars thing ever has the arch. You know what I'm talking about?
The extremely packed city streets with all the aliens and humans intermingling.
Right. So she shows up to a bar where Carrie-Anne Moss, who is playing a character named Indara, is like hanging out and having a drink, I guess. Mm-hmm. And it was like, I guess I'm gonna
fucking stab you now.
And she's like, oh bitch, I was in the Matrix. And then I don't know how someone does this kind of martial arts without showing any physical effort on their face. She's just like, what the fuck ever. Right. And she's like absolutely untouchable. And it's just fucking cool. They start talking about people are killing Jedi, and they don't know why. Which, Ochi of Bastoon?
Ochi of Bastoon!
Or like a Sith assassin, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
It depends on what the Sith are up to. And like, was Palpatine the only one that knew about Like, do all the Sith Masters know about Exegol and the Sith Eternal? It's they might get into that a little bit. But someone somewhere is killing Jedi. Mm-hmm. And I think
the implication I took from that is that it's May, but I could be wrong.
I think that's how I think we're supposed to believe that it's her, but I think she's like the main character of the show, isn't she? She's a protagonist.
Well,
and I think I remember reading that
the viewpoint character. Yeah, let's say.
I seem to remember reading recently that she teams up with Carrie-Anne Moss's character to figure out who's doing it, right? Because I think that May plays a character that used to be a Jedi. I think she used to be her Padawan and then left. Right.
Okay.
So yeah, the show's not out. We don't fucking know yet. Right. So we get a shot of a bunch of different Jedi. Charlie Barnett's character plays a Jedi called Yord. Daphne Keane, fucking from Logan, is in this movie, plays a Jedi called Jekni Lon. And they've got a fucking Wookiee Jedi who's played by what's his name? Junius Suadamo, who plays Chewie in the sequel trilogy.
Oh, cool.
So like in Force Awakens, Peter Mayhew played the stuff that he could, but famously wasn't able to get around very well. Yeah. And so all the other stuff he played, this tall fucking Dutch dude, right? Yeah. So that Wookiee character called Kelnaka is described as a loner with a heavy heart. So something happened and he's just out on his own, right? Mm-hmm. So Jedi Master Soul does a mind trick on a dude. I think it's really cool that he does the gesture. The guy looks real tense. He does the thing and he just like relaxes and he's like, I saw a couple of people like, oh, this is like maybe he's a little more sinister. And it's like, Jedi do this shit all the time.
Yeah.
Like, did you not see Star Wars Episode 4? and I get it. Like, canonically, mind tricks are a light side power, and it's not that big of a deal. Now, we know you're taking away that person's free will, and that's a bad thing. But I don't think we're supposed to see it like that. I think that the Jedi can use mind tricks, and it's fine. And this guy is a species where mind tricks very much work on him because he's human, and he's probably an idiot. So there's a shot of a ship approaching a ruined castle, which is probably a part of this early investigation. It's also worth pointing out that most of the stuff that we see in this trailer is probably from the first episodes. One or
I
two
think
episodes.
one of the interviews, Leslie Headland said that's from the first 4 or 5, but I tend to think it's the first 2.5.
I based on how they've done trailers,
Yeah.
It's probably not very much of the overall picture at all,
Yeah.
which is actually really exciting because it's like, if this shit's from like the first episode, like what's the rest of it going to be like?
Yeah.
There's a guy that drops in our Battlefront live streams all the time to talk and stuff, and he's been following the High Republic stuff, which I'm going to have to start getting caught up on because I've not been following it very closely, and I think it's going to be really important. There's a character from the High Republic era books that makes an appearance and is apparently going to be a key player in this.
Okay.
Remaster Rowe, played by Rebecca Henderson. She's got a lightsaber that turns into a light whip.
Okay.
Which is kind of a cool thing.
Cool.
And then there's Manny Jacinto plays the guy from A Good Place, plays a traitor and former smuggler, and he's involved in this somehow.
Can't have Star Wars without a smuggler.
Yep, and he's like an inquirer of hard to get goods,
sure,
which means that he probably figures something. He's learned something he shouldn't know, and then like that's how he gets involved in everything.
Yeah.
There's a character called Mother Anastasia, played by Joni Turner Smith. Apparently leads a coven of witches, challenging the Jedi's ownership of the Force, right? Which is a thing that Luke talked about in The Last Jedi. It would not surprise me if the Jedi of this era were like, "Oh, the Force is ours. We control all of this," right?
Yeah.
And that she's a part of a coven that might be an offshoot of a High Republic group of witches who don't want anyone to use the Force. Like they're like, no, but it's kind of like fucking Mordo from Doctor Strange.
Okay.
The no more wizards, the no more magic guy. And she looks fucking badass, by the way. Would not fuck with her. There's a shot of May fighting Jedi Master Saul. She like tries to kick him in the face, and he's like, I got the Force. And then she's like, what the fuck? I thought that they were going to dance around the Sith thing a little bit. But in the trailer, they're like, no, I don't think we will. And there's a shot of a red lightsaber just hurling through the forest. And it's like, okay, you have my attention.
Yeah.
Because, yes, this could be a Sith. I wouldn't be entirely surprised if it was. However, we know that, like in Jedi Survivor, the character Dagon like bleeds his crystal and ends up with like a light red color, right? So
Sure.
it could be like a fallen Jedi or a Force user who got a hold of a lightsaber.
Who the fuck knows?
Yeah. And then fucking one of the characters is like, "What the fuck's that?" And then all the Jedi line up. They're like, "You ready for our fucking hero
The money shot?
Everyone's got their fucking lightsabers out. And this shot was a little different from the D23 leaks.
Mm-hmm.
What they didn't show in the D23 version of this was whatever Force wielder this is, devastates all of them with like this Force power, like just fucking blows all of them away and shit. There's also a shot of all of them lining up in front of a forest. Some Eagle Eye fans have noted that one of the Jedi looks like a Keldor, which is the same species that Plo Koon is.
Yep.
And Plo Koon is easily alive because that species lives for a really long time. So like could totally be how many of these Jedi do you think at the end? How many of these guys are dead by the end of the story?
I'm gonna say half of them.
I would bet maybe even more of them. And so yeah, that's generally what I kind of noticed. Looks like a fucking wild ride.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
So comes out on June 4th.
2nd?
4th.
4th? Okay.
Yeah, because the rumor was June 5th. And it's like, we're going to put it off by one day just to say that you were wrong.
You.
Yeah, your rumor was wrong. So let us know in the comments like what you saw, what your theories are, what you're excited for. If you're just gonna go, they're gonna fuck it up like everything else, just shut the fuck up. I don't care.
Keep it to yourself.
Yeah. Let me.
Do you want to talk the old Battlefront 2 for a second?
Oh yeah, hold on. Darth 30 Socks says it's okay. I enjoy torture and grammar Nazis. Well, fuck you then. Frankie says, "Hey buds, love the stream. so far, if you guys play HVV tonight, I'm available. I'm not sure exactly what our personnel is tonight.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Jimmy says, speaking of meditation, will it help Crosshair with Omega's guidance?
It's spoilers.
Yeah, we'll get there.
We're getting there.
Not big spoilers. This wasn't necessarily a consequential thing. Let's talk about the classic Battlefront 2 real quick.
It sucks.
Yeah, look, I was excited for this. I shouldn't have been. You shouldn't get excited for any video game anymore because going off historical data, what's likely going to happen is that they're going to push out a product that wasn't ready to be launched yet and it's not going to work well, which is exactly what happened here.
That is incredibly nihilistic, but also probably pretty true.
Just basing it off of past data, right? And it's funny, we posted about this, and I was surprised at how many people were simping for a multi-billion-dollar industry and just giving them a pass on requiring money for a product and then not having it work. And I don't understand how you can do that because... let me go through it real quick. Wasn't able to find matches a lot of the time. When I did, it was rubber banding all over the fucking place, visual glitches and stuff. And a lot of people are like, oh yeah, well, that's just on PC. Well, motherfucker, I didn't play it on PC. I played it on Xbox because that's where I play most of it, except for Elite Dangerous, which I play on PC. I play all my video games on Xbox Series X. So no, it was not just a PC problem. And I understand there are a lot of people who are like, oh, well, it works perfectly fine for me.
Also, that's not a fucking excuse because if you put a game out on multiple platforms, it is reasonable to expect that it will work on every platform.
Yeah. So just because you don't have the PC version doesn't mean that they didn't do something bad. And just because you had a good experience with it doesn't mean that a bunch of people didn't, because it's very clear now, especially given the apology from the developer, and I think they put a patch out.
They know they fucked up.
Yeah. So like that's your experience, your good experience is irrelevant to the experience other people are having. And what's the other thing? Oh yeah.
The cherry on the shit sundae here.
Hold on. The one thing that I saw, I was like, what the fuck, guys? They're like, oh yeah, I mean, you got to kind of expect, like when a multiplayer game comes out, it'll take them a couple of weeks to get everything. And it's like, I'm not a quality assurance employee for this fucking company. I'm not one of their playtesters. I paid for that game. I expected it to work. And also, the thing that pisses me off is that when you go to try to get a refund for it, and this happened to a bunch of people we play Battlefront with as well. They were auto-denied and had to sit on hold with customer service for a half hour to even get their fucking refund.
It's pretty fucked up.
It's so fucked up, right? Do you want to talk about this next thing? Are you talking about the...
Sure.
Do you know anything about it?
I think so. So way back in the day, there was a modder who... there was some DLC that was Xbox exclusive. But you could fucking play as, Saj Ventress and... Who's the other one?
Kid Fisto.
Kid Fisto, right. You had a couple of Jedi. There were 4 new maps. It was great. But that DLC was only on Xbox. So some modder figured out how to port those things over to PC, and there was a mod, and it was great, and everyone loved it.
Put a lot of his own time and effort into it to make it work. His own code as well.
Fast forward to the new version, and it turns out the developers just kind of lifted all of that mod and just sort of used it in their own game after saying, no, we didn't do this. This is all done from scratch.
Fucking unbelievable, but at the same time, so fucking unsurprising.
Yeah.
So like at first, they noticed some of his work in the trailer, and they called him out on it, and they're like, oh, that was a mistake. It's not actually in the game. Yeah. The game comes out. Of course, people are going to look. It was that person's work in the game. I'm not sure that they've even responded to this right now.
Yeah, like people have dug through the source code to find it. It is actually exactly the same assets and things that this modder used.
Which I hope, I don't know, it's legally it's
I
weird.
hope he sues them.
I don't think, I mean, it wasn't his IP in the first place, so it's... I'm not sure.
I hope he consults a lawyer at the very least.
It's like if he can get some money from them, if he can get some legal action, I would fully support it, and I hope he does. The legality of it's sketchy because he doesn't own the IP, and it's
I mean, he owns his work. You would think.
Yeah, it'd be kind of like suing, like doing a shitty Vader fan film, and then suing Disney when they took it and put it on Disney Plus or something. where it's like, okay, you made it happen, but you're using an IP and characters that don't belong to you. So what's the legality on that? I don't even know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We're not lawyers. If you're a lawyer, tell us in the comments how fucked up this is and how much money that modder stands to win.
Specifically a copyright lawyer.
Yeah.
That's probably what it would take. And is there anything else on here that we need
If there is, I think we better skip and go to Bad Batch.
Well, Patty Jenkins.
Oh, yeah. Rogue One. Still happening.
Rogue One.
Happening again.
Not Rogue One, Rogue Squadron.
Rogue Squadron.
Which has been an emotional roller coaster of happening, not happening.
Maybe not happening, but we're back to happening.
Yeah, so she's like, it's actually happening, and it's like at this point, I'm gonna need to see it. I don't know who to believe. Yeah, it's when it like I will show up at the theater, I'll sit my ass down, and when the movie starts and it's Rogue Squadron, I'll believe that it's actually here. I think we've gotten everything else.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about some Star Wars: The Bad Batch, Season 3, Episode 8. Yeah, which was another adventure of the week.
It was there.
It's setting up what's going to happen next.
I think
week.
In context it'll make more sense. We just don't have the context that comes after it to justify this.
I think the purpose of this one is I think something big is coming for the next episode.
Like it's all about like the last 15 seconds or so.
Yeah, which that's kind of how they pace the show a little bit. It's you have big consequential moments and big consequential episodes, and you take a little bit of a break. That way, not everything is just balls to the wall, conflict the entire time.
All right, so we're gonna spoil the fuck out of this.
Yes,
it came out literally today as we are recording this. So if you haven't seen it, that's fine. Go watch it. We won't judge you. We'll it'll
take you 20 minutes.
The podcast will be here.
Yeah.
So episode 8, titled Bad Territory. So we open on Wanda Sykes' island, and Omega is like anxiously tapping her toe and looking at her phone, like, when is Echo gonna call me? He said he was gonna call me.
By the way, does she look a bunch older to you?
A little bit.
Like, maybe she's got some of the growth acceleration happening.
I thought her whole thing was that she wasn't supposed to have that.
Well,
like that's why she's older than the Bad Batch, but still a kid.
Well, I guess they did say that she's just a female version of Boba.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, I guess she would be unaltered. Yeah.
So Crosshair walks up and he's like, you do realize Echo is not going to call you just because you're staring at the phone,
also,
right?
He might be trying to answer, but he's got a little screwdriver for a hand, so I can't hit the button.
She's like, well, I feel guilty because Echo and Rex lost most of their people getting me out, and I feel like I need to help them. Crosshair's like, you are, by staying out of the way.
Yeah. Also, you're a child. There's not a lot you can do.
Yeah. Hunter steps out of the ship and is like, I never thought I'd say this, but Crosshair is right. We need to know why Hemlock wants you and what the fuck a midichlorian is before you can go anywhere.
An M count.
They
don't even know it's called the midichlorian.
I intentionally call it a midichlorian. Yeah. Wrecker is like, hey, we got a call from Wanda Sykes.
Do you think there are people out there that have one midichlorian?
Maybe.
Probably that one guy in episode 2 that jumps up into the box with Count Dooku and gets shot by Jango Fett. That guy probably had one midichlorian. Yeah.
So Wanda Sykes is on the phone. She says, okay, so I've been looking into M counts, and what I found is that there's some top-rated bounty hunters have been rounding up high M count targets for the Empire. So, like, if you want to know more about this, maybe you should just go talk to a bounty hunter. Omega's like, well, hey, what about Fennec Shand? We know her. She's a bounty hunter. Wanda's like, okay, sure, I can find her, but she's going to want something from you. Crosshair's like, yeah, no shit. And Hunter looks at him and is like, hey, his hand's still shaking. That's kind of weird. Wrecker, of course, does not trust Fennec Shand because he has the mentality of a 3-year-old, but also you probably just
a 10-year-old, but yeah.
And Hunter's like, okay, you're right. So what we're gonna do is you and me, we're gonna go talk to Fennec, and Omega and Crosshair are gonna stay here. Crosshair's like, great, I'm on fucking vacation. Walks off the ship. Hunter's like, okay, Omega, I actually got an assignment for you. You need to convince Crosshair to get his hand looked at because he's not going to do it by himself.
It's so fucking typical, by the way, that Hunter can't he can't tell him himself.
Yeah.
Because they're both stubborn men. And he can't pretend like he cares about him because who the fuck knows what happens then. They
Hunter at least recognizes he does not have the people skills to successfully convince Crosshair to get this.
To me, it played as a while they're standing there, hey, tell Hunter blah blah blah, and then she tells him, and then he's like, well, you tell Crosshair blah blah blah, and then
Hunter is at least shrewd about this.
Yeah.
Like he recognizes that Omega and Crosshair have a closer relationship than he and Crosshair.
I also appreciate that he cares enough to look into it.
For sure. So Hunter and Wrecker fly off to this space station, start walking around, and it's a rough neighborhood. Like there's people getting shot in the street and all that shit. So they walk into a bar and walk up to Fennec's booth, and Hunter's like, all right, so before we go in here, we're not going to tell her anything she doesn't need to know. It's very, very important. So there's a Rhodian talking to Fennec, and she's like, okay, I don't know.
Apparently Greedo.
Greedo, really?
From what I saw.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I saw someone... I'm going to look into this, actually. I meant to look into it earlier.
So Fennec is talking to maybe Greedo, and she sees the clones on. She's like, fuck off. I don't have any business with you. Hunter's like, I'm here for information. Fennec's like, okay, well, it has a price. And Hunter's like, why the fuck do you think we're here? And Fennec's like, okay, Greedo, fuck off. And Greedo's like, that's not very nice. But he leaves. So the Bad Batches, the BBs I have in my note, are kind of hesitant. And Fennec's like, all right, you're going to shit or you're going to get off the pot here? Like, time is money. Hunter's like, so we've heard, the Empire's interested in M counts. And Fennec's like, well, I haven't done any of those jobs, but I can put you in touch with someone who has, but my price is more than you can afford. So what we'll do instead is you two are going to come with me and help me do a job. And after that, I'll get you the info you need. And Hunter is like, fucking fine, I guess. So back on Wanda Sykes' planet, AZ is looking at Crosshair and he's like, yeah, your hand might never get back to 100%. Omega's like, is there anything we can do? AZ's like, well, the problem might not be entirely physiological. And Crosshair's like, you saying I need therapy? You saying I have mental health problems? And Crosshair's just not very happy about that. Which again, very typical male. I don't need to talk about my feelings, blah, blah, blah. So on Fennec's ship in hyperspace, Wrecker is like, do you really think we should be helping her? And Fennec walks out of the cockpit and says, okay, look, we made a deal, right? This is purely business. You keep up your end of the deal. I'll keep up mine. We all walk away happy. So our bounty target is Sylar Saris, who has thus far killed every single bounty hunter who's gone after him. So, we got that going for us.
He's also a terrifying praying mantis man.
Yes. So they land on planet Louisiana.
It's literally the bayou.
Yeah. Which apparently has toxic air.
Yeah. Which Louisiana does, I think.
Yeah. That's all the oil refining. And
well, also it's the South.
Yeah.
You can't breathe down there.
So Fennec.
There's too much racism. You get down there, you're like, ugh.
So Fennec rents a boat from some droids.
If you're from Louisiana, I'm so sorry.
Unless you're racist, in which case, fuck off. Yeah. So they go out on the bayou and she's like, okay, Hunter, you're going to keep a close eye out for Sylar's hideout. Wrecker, you're going to keep an eye on the water because there's nasty things down there and I don't ever go in the water.
They're literally space crocodiles.
Spoilers.
Sorry, they're space crocodiles.
So they cruise along and Hunter's like, hold up. There's a mine in the water. Fennec's like, all right, cool. You guys go disarm it. And Wrecker's like, wait a minute. You told us not to go in the water. She says, I never go in the water.
Yeah.
You guys are expendable.
I like how Wrecker turns into a 10-year-old boy about going into the water. He's like, I don't know if I want to.
Like in any other circumstance, he would want to, but the fact
you can't see it, he doesn't know what's under there yet, because he's just he's a child.
So they go to disarm the mines while Fennec keeps lookout. Back down at the beach on the nice planet, Crosshair is attempting to shoot again, keeps missing, and Omega's like, well, you almost hit that one, and Crosshair's like, get the fuck out of my face. She's like, okay, dude, seriously, you need therapy. Like there's very clearly something going on with you. And Crosshair's like, no, I'm not doing that. My head is fine. She's like, all right then, smart ass, maybe you can go fix it yourself. Crosshair's like, you clearly have an idea, and I'm clearly not going to like it. She's like, you don't like anything. He's like, well, duh, have you met me?
That is my thing.
He has two things.
Yeah.
One is shooting really well, which he can't do currently. His other thing is hating everything.
Not liking things, yeah.
So the Hunter and Wrecker are disarming the mines, and surprise, space alligators.
Or crocodiles.
Alligators.
Yeah.
Because this is Louisiana, and they have alligators.
Do they have crocodiles in Louisiana?
Crocodiles are in Africa.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they keep disarming mines, and Fennec is shooting the alligators, and everyone climbs aboard, and they're about to get away, but a gator grabs Hunter and drags him down, so Wrecker has to jump in and like beat the crap out of it and wrestle a bunch of alligators, and it's a good old-fashioned fight scene.
I think after a while, he starts to have at least a little bit of fun.
So much fun wrestling these alligators. So it's nighttime and they're still cruising along, and Fennec is like, okay, which way are we going? Hunter's like, I can't tell. It's kind of vague here. Fennec's like, wow, you're the fucking world's greatest tracker.
Yeah.
And Wrecker's like, why are you being such an asshole about this?
Wrecker is like holding a grenade. There's like one more fucking word.
Fennec's like, oh yeah, by the way, where's Omega? You guys seem to really like that kid, and she's nowhere to be found. Hunter's like, well, why the fuck do you want to know? And Fennec's like, it's just kind of curious that you're willing to work with me, considering, we were kind of arch enemies at one point. Also, by the way, I didn't lose Omega or like let you take her back. I just kind of stopped trying once the bounty was called off, so you can just think about that. And Wrecker's
they stopped paying me, so I stopped hunting her.
Wrecker's like, wow, you will do literally anything for money, right? And Fennec's like, actually, yeah, as long as the check clears, I'm good.
Also, so do you. So does everyone.
Yeah. Hunter's like, money isn't everything. And Fennec's like, you're fucking broke. What the fuck would you know about that?
Yeah, that is a really good line, by the way. He's like, oh, I don't think it matters to you his money. She's like, that's because you're a broke ass bitch. Like, of course, that's what you would say.
So they pull up on some signs of habitation, like there's a little hut in the trees, and they see another boat, and Fennec pulls over. So they go ashore. Fennec's like, all right, you two are going to go in there and grab Sylar, and remember, I need him alive. And I'm going to stand lookout. And Wrecker's like, this does not seem like an equitable division of labor here. And Fennec's like, you're damn right it's not, because I'm in charge.
Yeah.
It's like, you need to work for me. I don't need to work for you. Now, chop, chop. So Hunter and Wrecker sneak up, and Hunter leaves Wrecker at the bottom of the tree and like climbs up into the tree house, and he's looking around, and it's real dark. And oh god, Sylar attacks him.
Oh god, it's a praying mantis.
Yeah. Weird.
Oh, and he moves so weird. Yeah. It's so
weird
crazy.
Bugman attacks him, and then there's a fist fight, and then Wrecker's up there, and Sylar manages to escape down this tunnel down the tree.
He makes the weird clicking noises because he's a fucking bug.
Mm-hmm. So they radio to Fennec, like, hey, he just went a tunnel. And Fennec's like, oh yeah, I probably know what he's doing. So Bugman runs for his boat and tries to start it, only to see that Fennec has cut the starting cable. Yeah. And Fennec's like, did you really think I'd let you get away with that?
You fucking idiot.
You fucking idiot. That was our requisite one for this episode.
That's the one, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Crosshair's not in it very much, so So, like, Sylar, like, knocks him into the water and tries to steal their boat, and Wrecker's there and intercepts them, and eventually all three of them stun him, and he just kind of passes out. Wrecker's like, yeah, good job you brought us, huh? And Fennec's like, yeah, sure, whatever, thanks, no, let's get out of here. So Omega is like, Omega and Crosshair are sitting on the beach. They're doing the Karate Kid thing. They're like
Omega is meditating. Crosshair's like, this is so fucking stupid. Like, how is this going to help me? And she's like, just breathe. Just try it. Crosshair's like, where did you learn all this hippie bullshit anyway? And she's like, yeah, Wookiees.
Specifically, a Jedi Wookiee.
Wookiees.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute. You actually went to Kashyyyk? And she's like, yeah. He's like, wow. That's actually
was it cool? I heard it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. Oh, I want to go.
I thought Crosshair's like, you know what? Fuck it. Nothing else has worked. I guess I'll try the hippie bullshit.
Masters of Woo.
So back on the station, Fennec is like, hey guys, great work. I'm going to go now. Hunter's like, wait a minute. Where's your end of the deal? Like, where's our info? Fennec's like, okay, it's fine. I'll call you after I deliver Sylar. And Hunter's like, that wasn't the deal. And Fennec's like, then fucking, you have two options right now. You can trust me or you can shoot me. And Hunter and Wrecker just kind of look at each other, and she's like, I'm glad you didn't shoot me. Now, if you don't mind, I gotta deliver this bounty.
Because if Crosshair was there, he'd been like, fucking shoot you.
Yeah, I'll just fucking shoot you.
Shoot you in the gut and you'll get robo abs.
Now, don't call me, I'll call you. See ya.
Yeah.
So she flies away. And as soon as she gets clear of the station, Fennec calls up somebody on the phone, which we don't see, we don't hear. She's like, okay, so you'll never believe this. I just did a job with some clones, and they were asking about M counts. And like the replies are
Yeah, you don't really hear the
staticky bullshit. She's like, well, you seem like you have resources. You can probably track them. I mean, they kind of stick out like sore thumbs.
One of them is a giant man with the mind of a 10-year-old.
Yes. Like I'll send you my notes, and it cuts to black, and that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, it's obviously Asajj Ventress.
Really?
Yeah.
My feeling was it was someone Imperial, but
I think
you could be right.
I think it's Ventress. I think that they're setting up Ventress for the next episode.
I'm glad they're doing something to get Crosshair out of his own head and able to actually shoot things again.
Yeah, they're doing a little bit of a redemption arc with him, which by the way, I called last season. Jimmy says Australian crocodiles would end any space alligator. They'd be mates with Wrecker. That's probably true.
Yeah.
I think Wrecker would do well in Australia. Until he got bit by
I think Hunter would do better.
Oh yeah, he'd be all right. Yeah. They'd probably all be all right in Australia.
Yeah, really, any of them.
Chris says, "May the force be with you, Daniel and Chris."
Oh, thank you.
I hope you're having a good night. I'm excited for the Acolyte. Screw all the haters who are hating on the new Star Wars show. Yeah, fuck them. They haven't seen it. And they're gonna bitch about anything.
Nah.
Because I don't know. In their mind,
they're gonna bitch because there's a woman on their screen.
Yeah, it makes them feel sophisticated to hate something, and it's not sophisticated. It's just tedious and it's boring. I'm so tired of reading the comments who are like, "Oh, I wonder how Disney's gonna fuck this up." It's like,
just don't read the comments. Just Daniel, for your own mental health.
Oh, I can't do that.
Just stop reading.
I know.
The comments.
I've tried. I can't do that. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm a masochist. No Thrawn. Wrong timeline, probably. Not Thrawn. Question mark. No, Thrawn wouldn't. Well, I mean, he's around. Well,
is he?
Hold on. Have they discovered him yet?
I don't know.
I don't know why it would be Thrawn. Like at the end.
Oh yeah. It's roughly the right part of the timeline, right? It's between episode 3 and 4.
Yeah, but they I'll have to do some research on that. I'm not sure that they've discovered Thrawn yet.
I also don't think it makes sense for it to be Thrawn because
why would it be?
That's a villain for a different show.
Yeah.
Like we know Asajj Ventress has to show up at some point.
Yeah, she's in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're gonna go play some Battlefront. Hook up with our buddies from Gremlin Squad.
Maybe talk about Invincible a little bit.
Yeah. Talk about Invincible, some more Acolyte stuff, some more Bad Batch even. So please join us then. It'll be here in just a few minutes on whatever platform you're currently on.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep an eye out.
Stay tuned.
We would love to talk to you some more. So make sure you hit the like button.
Smash that like button.
Don't do that. Don't fucking do that. Okay, bye.
Bye.